Let me start off by saying I am so glad my capture card did not record my voice during this match because I was yelling like no tomorrow. I was so frustrated and so mad at this person for the way they played. I genuinely could have made my own video about me, period, just with this one fight alone on why I shouldn't act this way. But thankfully, it didn't record my audio, and still, I'm kind of sad that it didn't, because I would have liked to throw that out there where I get pissed off at something. But, you know, I don't send hate mail about it. You know, if I rage in private. You know, it's no big deal. But, regardless of that, I want to talk to you guys about quite a few things. This is going to be a bigger video in terms of importance in my channel. So, I feel like this is something I really need to talk about and address. Number one is why uploads haven't been as stable as usual. Lately, I've gotten a new job, and it's been taking a big toll on me, and I'm finally getting used to it, but I decided that I'm going to leave that job to do YouTube daily for a while. And that's something that's going to be a big jump for my channel. I've never really stuck with a schedule for the channel, but I think it's going to be time to actually stick with one. I'm going to attempt to do a video or live stream every day at 8 p.m. If that works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's fine. Of course, I'll take the occasional day off or whatever, but a video or a live stream every day at 8 is what I'm going to aim for. I'll also be having extra streams on twitch.tv/KilljoyRoger. The link to that will be down in the pinned comment below, as well as the link to my Discord. But as for that, I won't be streaming For Honor on that Twitch account. So if you want to see me in more of my natural habitat of games like Monster Hunter, maybe Super Smash Brothers, Pokemon especially, feel free to go join that Twitch chat and hop in there with me and talk to me a little bit. Or even Call of Duty. You know, a lot of different games, pretty broad gamer for the most part, but that's not all I want to talk to you guys about. I also want to talk to you about the current state of the game and where it's heading and why it's both good and bad. One thing I've noticed really a lot lately is the way different characters interact with one another, and it's not good. This is something that I've been complaining about for a very long time now, and it's losing at the character select screen. This match is something that is very important to pay attention to, especially during this matchup period. Shigoki versus Warden is something a Warden should 100% of the time win, period. Warden being hands down one of the best duelists in the entire roster, Shigoki being one of the worst, constantly puts you under pressure while playing Shigoki. I managed to pull the win out of my ass, but that's beside the point. The point here is that there are a lot of situations where you literally just can't do anything. For one of the biggest examples is Highlander. And Highlander is a bad character. Please do not get me wrong, I'm not saying he's good. He's not a good character. I refuse to believe he is. He's pretty mid-tier at best, and on the lower side if that. But that's only because of offensive stance. If he didn't have that, he'd obviously be the worst character in the roster. But this is the problem. Offensive stance. If you're playing a character who doesn't have an undodgeable, you cannot catch Highlander. Period. At least a good one, in my experience. And this presents a very big problem, is that if they have any amount of skill with Highlander and decent reaction time, virtually no character without an undodgeable, including characters who are pretty up there like Shinobi, or at least pre-nerf Shinobi, sorry about that, can't really deal with him because of just his dodge. The ability to constantly be able to wade away and dodge is really dangerous. And this is something that kind of bothers me a little bit. It's not how good or bad a character is, it's how they interact with another character. And this is something that just irks the shit out of me. I understand Ubisoft wanted to go for a hero-based game when they wanted all of these different characters in the roster, everyone to be slightly different or entirely different. I get it. But different characters don't interact well with others at all, and downright make it nearly impossible to fight. If you're playing someone like Orochi who has an undodgeable, it's still really difficult to deal with Highlander, but it can be done. But Orochi is still a terrible matchup against pretty much anyone because Orochi's dog shit. But if you're playing a character without any sort of dodge attack, fighting a character like Shigoki can be really difficult for you, especially if you're not used to the Demon's Embrace timing. This may sound pretty odd, but there's one universal change I would love to see all throughout the roster. That's everyone have an unblockable, some sort of pressure that they can put on their opponent, everyone have an undodgeable as well. I think if everyone had an unblockable and an undodgeable, and a roll catch, that's something that definitely needs to happen. Between those three things, I think it would not change the meta per se, but it would do the game a lot of justice on the fun side of things. Now, whether it would make it more competitive or not, I don't know. I'm not in the competitive scene. I want to stay as far away from it as I possibly can at this point, because the tournament that I hosted pretty much just went to shit, and I've still got to finish that up. But overall, if everyone had an undodgeable, and everyone had an unblockable, and everyone had a roll catch, some sort of dodge forward heavy or dodge forward light, I can't think of a matchup that I wouldn't want to fight anyone with. For example, if I was fighting a Warden, and I had some sort of undodgeable, even if it's 600 MS, or 800 even, I know that I would stand a fighting chance against Warden because I might be able to bait him into that dodge bash that they always love to use. I might be able to bait them into that sort of attack. And even if you made one of Warden's heavies undodgeable, such as his top heavy, then it wouldn't be terrible. Everyone needs that in the roster universally, and there's a lot of reasons I think that. It shouldn't be that you lose at the character select screen. You should always have a fighting chance, and because we don't, we get really discouraged from playing this game and contribute to the ever-dwindling number of people who do continue to play this game. And overall, that's really disappointing. Unfortunately, this game never became a big AAA title that it had the potential to be. For Honor had the potential to be a household name all across the countries, at every single country, every single server that it's currently in. It had the potential. But unfortunately, it wasn't given the care and the love that it needed. At launch, the game had millions of players, and currently now, we'd be lucky if we were even at 1 million. The game overall feels and plays very great, and I don't really compliment the gameplay of this game enough. It's not really the game or the gameplay that annoys people, it's the people you fight that annoy people. And I completely get that and I understand it. As I said in the beginning of this video, fighting someone who emote texts, unlock texts, and does all kinds of butt fuckery, it can annoy you very quickly. As I said, I'm really glad that my audio wasn't there because I said a lot of really choice shit that I shouldn't have said. Thankfully it was in private and thankfully my voice wasn't shared. That way I could use the footage. But my good friend McChubbs brought up one very important thing to me. And that's that Raider and characters like Raider aren't necessarily bad for this game. And I'll explain what I mean by that and what he meant by it. You see, Raider is very different from the rest of the roster right now. He has extremely heavy-hitting punishes, one of the best out of stamina punishes in the entire game. Every heavy throws a 33, 33, 33. Whether you believe that or not is questionable, but I pretty much do. And overall, he's basically a character with no skill gap anymore. And now that might piss off some people who did play Raider, and I will admit that Raider at one point did take a minute amount of skill, but most people just relied on dodge guard break, just like old school Shigoki relied on, hyper armor, or super armor in his case. I get it. I understand playing a character because you like their aesthetics or their looks or whatever, but I'm going to be very down to earth when I say this. Raider never took a massive amount of skill. He was never a button masher character. He went from being one of the best turtles in the game to one of the best offensive characters in the game, which is a very big change and made me think of Conqueror quite a bit. Getting rid of dodge guard break was one of the best things they have ever done for this game, and I applaud Ubisoft for doing that. But now basically you can throw your controller down a flight of stairs and end up in Diamond 4. That's just how it is. With the way Raider is currently, I don't mind him too much, and that's something I kind of want to push. If we're going to have one character like Raider, we should have more. We shouldn't have one character that you can button mash with. If the entire roster were that way, this game would go so much smoother and play so much better. You have characters like Nobushi, who, if your opponent can react to lights, take damn near mastery to be able to win with, and that shouldn't be a problem. But when you're fighting a character like Raider, or fighting with a character like Raider, like I said, throw your controller down a flight of stairs and you'll win damn near every match you go against. And that's kind of fucked up. Why should one character take such mastery in order to actually be able to be even remotely usable in any game mode now, versus a character like Raider who can just press whatever the fuck he wants? There's so many characters that have to rely on their light attacks now, like Nobushi, Orochi, Shinobi, and they get deemed as skillless heroes. But let's be realistic for a moment. When you play a character like that, you can really see how difficult the matchups become whenever you're fighting someone who's a decent player. But when you're playing a character like Raider, there's no really way to tell who's a decent player and who's not, because you're just able to keep up your offense to no extent. You can just keep on going and never have a problem. And same with characters like Warden and Conqueror and Berserker. Pretty much any S-tier duelist in this entire game, you don't have to fuck with in order to actually get to know their moveset. You can pick them up, play with them whenever you want, get a bunch of free wins, quit the game, turn it off whenever you want. But when you have characters like Kensei, Orochi, Nobushi, Shigoki, Centurion, you know, characters that take so much finesse, so much practice, so much to learn in order to keep up with those really high-tier characters, it makes the game really hated. I guess is the best word I could use. Hated. And I think that's one of the main reasons that this game got such a bad rap other than its community. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. As always, I love you guys, and have a good night. Peace.